I want to start off by saying Warhammer has a lot more going on than just board games, so sit down and listen. As some of you may know, I've been digging into all things Warhammer lately, and I've come to a conclusion. I would be doing you a great disservice if I didn't provide some fashion of recommendation towards it on account of how much I'm enjoying it. Fortunately for you, I'm a rather new addition to this whole universe, so I can dissuade some initial doubts you may have, as well as usher you in a direction that speaks to your interests the most. There seems to be something for everyone, not only in the realm of faction preference, but also in mediums to consume content. Warhammer is often seen as a reality centered around tabletop gaming, but for you, it doesn't have to be. There's books, video games, countless YouTube videos, cinematics, and more to choose from. Personally, I'm in this for the lore more than anything else, but I started this whole journey because of the new Space Marine video game that got my attention, which, prompted me to start diving into what exactly this whole universe was, and I fell in pretty deep. If you enjoy Helldivers, Warhammer is pretty much a mixture of Helldivers, Star Wars, and a New Age Greek pantheon, which can be overwhelming at first, but I'll help guide you through it. Now, let's talk for a little bit about the appeal of certain allegiances, because once the series spans multiple galaxies and millennia, there's a lot of things to choose from. Let's say you don't like the vibe that humanity gives off. That's completely acceptable, as there are droves of different factions, as well as subsets from those factions sort of branching out like a big family tree. Only difference is these family trees are rife with infighting and disagreements, which, fortunately for you, the consumer, means you have one, if not several, demographics aligning with your beliefs somewhere within all of it. I'm the kind of person who will spend hours on a character creator trying to get everything perfectly the way I want it to be. So you can trust me when I say that if you look hard enough, there's absolutely a group that you will feel resonates with you. If you get into this and decide that is Slaanesh or Nurgle, the only thing you need to be informed of is where to find affordable quality therapy. This is not a plug for a therapy company. I'm literally just saying those people need professional help. One is too smelly, the other is too horny, and it's almost impossible to distinguish who is which. Okay, look, realistically, one is horribly depraved, and the other one just needs a really long-awaited hug. If you're unironically down with the Dark Eldar, though, you have issues therapy cannot fix. This will all make sense at a later date, don't worry. Anyway, I was initially hit with the assumption that the only thing anyone did in Warhammer was throw wave after wave of personnel and bullets at one another until one of the legions crumbled. After some digging, I figured out that despite there being factions that absolutely do that, apparently there's wizards, ancient demonic entities, a beefed up version of the creatures from Alien, magical elves for some reason, people who are able to torture one of those magical elves simply by being boring, angels, and a whole lot of sentient robots with various reasons for existing. That's not all of them, but it's a start. I'm partial to the humans, with my favorites being the Raven Guard and Space Sharks, but we're going to save ourselves several hours and delay that conversation to the future. This seems unrelated because it absolutely is, but Warhammer also has the best take on orcs that I think will ever exist. One of the working theories is that they are some of the most potent wizards in existence, with their power being derived out of their belief in something, such as red makes you go fast, which would then lead them to paint vehicles red, and inexplicably, they go faster. This also applies to blue, making them lucky, yellow, making explosions bigger, purple, making them stealthy, because when's the last time you saw a purple orc? Exactly. Black and white, making things tougher, and green, making them the best, because orcs naturally come in green. And it works, somehow. They were so powerful, some sort of ancient deity put a dampener on them. A dampener that was not capable of weakening their power, but instead turned them all into dipshits that don't fully grasp the idea that they've got remarkably potent powers. Powers, once again, so effective that they assemble guns out of scraps that work perfectly because they think they do. However, if you were to try to pick up that weapon and fire it, it wouldn't work because you don't believe that it does. That's the most cursory look at a single faction, and it's barely scratching the surface. This is an insane place, and really, that's why it's so wonderful. There's a lot happening, and it's happening all the time, all over the place, and it always has been. This is a multi-billion-dollar franchise, having started around the 80s, so we can say, rather confidently, they have to have been doing something right to get this far over nearly half a century. As far as getting invested within a story and its characters go, this is a fantastic avenue for that. Somewhat recently, there has been a bit of an uproar regarding a bit of revisionist history going through some stories. It's kind of jacking with some stories, but unless you actively go looking for it, you're probably going to remain unaffected as a new interest. There's so much content that whatever is currently being argued about right now will be irrelevant in the time it would take you to reach it. I think the people who are upset aren't being all that unreasonable in their grievances. As a matter of fact, I see some fairness in it. But that's a story for another time. If the story that you like changes in the future, especially around details you were holding near and dear to your heart, here's the solution. If you ever tell the story, tell it the way that you liked it. Then tell them why the version changed, and tell them why it sucks. Allow them to make their own opinions. Engaging in revisionist history and personal biases is the greatest pastime in Warhammer. It's the rule of comic books. Who wins in a fight between two all-powerful beings? Well, it depends on whoever did the writing. By the way, you don't need to buy the books or figures to learn about anything. It's not like a fortune cookie. You don't get the information after paying a fee. This is an interest you can pick up so long as you have access to the internet. Anything that has occurred is written down on the internet, even the remarkably obscure and retconned stuff. Also, should you be so inclined, I will be providing you with your own little lore-informative videos spanning from history to background on everything that I can conjure up. It'll be palatable for new people, and then I'll also do expansive looks on things for the veterans that want to hear a little bit more. I'm aware most of you are here from Helldivers-related instances, hence why I mentioned the similarity earlier. If the Space Marine 2 game coming out in September lives up to expectation, which, trust me, I will tell you if it does, that game is for you. The Warhammer Extended Universe is practically if you took Helldivers, upgraded the lethality of everything, lightly dusted some Eldritch Gods over the top, and to garnish it off, you were given infinite freedom of choice. What I want now is an exchange in the comments. I will elaborate. Warhammer people, mention your favorite parts of the universe. Prospective fans, go ahead and ask some questions. I cannot possibly cover all the details in one video, but we can cover in the gaps as a group. With that, we should be all wrapped up here. Once again, if you like Star Wars or you like Helldivers, this is likely down your alley. Feel free to ask further questions in the comments, and keep an eye on news come early September about that new Space Marine game. Trust me, I will be posting about it. You can also feel free to hop in the Discord server if you're old enough. Sorry, kiddos, you'll be old enough someday. Other than that, as always, thank you for your time, stay safe, and have a good night.